Welcome, everybody. We are live on YouTube and we are live in Clubhouse with Breakfast with Champions. These are very exclusive segments where I show you practically and tactically how I'm building my business, things that are really important, and how I do them and how I'm optimizing them. Today, we're talking about newsletters. We're going to discuss the structure of a newsletter, why you should do it, how to build it, and how to review it and refine it. I'm going to show you 3 or 4 different audiences, how I'm sending out the newsletter, and what I'm getting in open rates and how I can kind of tweak and optimize it. So if you are live on YouTube, do me a favor, just jump in the comments. Let me know you're here. I see you, Kate Volman. She is amazing when it comes to newsletters. Go follow her. I actually subscribe to hers for inspiration. I'll talk about that in this session. Monica Ricci, she is a champion. She's here all the time, and I love getting inspiration from her. I'm very, very consistent. And if you're in the live stream on YouTube, jump in the comments. Let me know you're here. Good way to grow your audience and network with other people as well. I'll also go back after the live and look at all the comments. If anybody needs to connect with me, I can answer your questions and so on and so forth. I see Lolita E. Walker and I see Siga as well. All right, let's jump right into it. So first and foremost, what is a newsletter? Newsletter is a way of you communicating with your audience. So I'm live on YouTube right now, but YouTube can decide tomorrow that I have to pay $100 a month to put out my content. That could actually happen. So creating a newsletter is a way for me to take this audience like Arif and Kimberly, who just jumped in the comments, and give them a place to go where I can communicate with them directly. I can do the same thing with Facebook or any other platform. If you have a TikTok that blew up, you need to have a newsletter and you need to tell your community, hey, this is a direct line to me, so that you own the audience and you own the relationship and you're not reliant on any platform that can change the way that that platform works any day. So a newsletter can be whatever you want. Some people put them out on a monthly or a weekly or a yearly basis. I would say from a personal brand perspective, a weekly newsletter would be very, very important. I think it's a good way for you to keep your community engaged and remove friction for your audience. Why do you need one? Exact reasons I just explained. A lot of times people rely on the platforms, but if the platforms disappear, so does their audience. I think Kim can talk about this definitely in her segment. If you make it very easy for people to find you and you own that newsletter, it gives you the ability to go out and communicate directly with those people. And it's insanely powerful. Now, how do you actually make one? So now we're going to dig into the practice and tactics of it. So let me just go to my personal website first, and I'm going to show you a website. JustinConico.com is the website. And this is the place where my personal brand lives. Didn't always have this. Again, I ran a real estate company. I was kind of one and the same. But when I realized that my personal brand spoke to a different audience than my real estate brand, I created this website. So this is where I created a site called Resources to create a spot for people to sign up to my newsletter, right? So the first thing I had to do was give people a place where they could connect with me so that I could start building a list. I use a site called Squarespace. It's very cheap and very free. I think you're maybe $120 to set up a website, and you can create landing pages like this. They have templates. If you could use Facebook, you could use Squarespace. I promise you, I could do another segment on creating an actual website, but there's tons of free videos on YouTube. You just got to decide to do it and then figure it out. The next thing I do is set up a email newsletter software, and I use MailChimp. There's a lot of different ones out there. This is the example of the Prime Insiders newsletter, but MailChimp is the software that I chose to use to build my listing. You don't have to use MailChimp. You could literally use a CRM, which is a customer relationship management software, and tag people and blast people in your newsletter from there. The difference between a database like a CRM and, say, a MailChimp is MailChimp helps a lot with the compliance. So I'm in Canada. We have CASL, which is the Canadian anti-spam legislation, meaning you can't just add thousands of people to your list and blast them with spam. You could get fined big time in Canada for that. So it's a really good way of helping you manage your audiences and structure it. So in terms of actually creating one, when you go into an app like MailChimp, there's tons of templates that can help you get started. It's super basic, and you can go in and you can create a simple newsletter. But let's just talk about the audience that I just pointed you to. So JustinConico.com/resources. Everybody that's in Breakfast with Champions, you're my audience, right? This site is geared towards people that I'm looking to educate and inspire. That's what I do. I don't sell any courses. I position myself in thought leadership around real estate and media. But real estate is marketing to generate leads, and then sales, which is converting leads to closing, and so on and so forth. That applies to every single industry on the planet. So I was like, well, My skill set applies to everybody. I don't care if you're a photographer, you sell custom sneakers. My skill set applies to you. So I'm going to speak to this audience. And what are the main questions that this audience may have? Well, content creation, the power of time blocking and productivity, getting started with YouTube, best practices to setting up a channel, and so on and so forth, how to storytell, and how to be productive and creative, and how I do my daily planning. So this audience, you can tell automatically I'm turning around and saying, okay, now I'm going to answer some questions and provide some free resources for this audience to connect with me in my world. And I'm kind of setting up the stage for what my content's going to be, especially from a newsletter perspective, right? My messaging and the free content that I give people to enroll and sign up to my newsletter then leads to the audience that I have. So if I click on my audience here, I'll have my dashboard, and I'll go into that when I show you the Prime one. But now you see the structure of my newsletter. Now I'm actually in MailChimp, and I've gone from the website where I set up the registration form so you can actually get on my newsletter to, okay, here's my weekly roll up that I'm sending to people. And if you look, you'll notice consistency of branding, right? You'll see on my resources page, you'll see on my main landing page, you've got the same photo of me in a three-piece suit. I've almost done it to myself because I've become a caricature with that little, blue vest that you see on my Clubhouse profile photo and on Facebook and everything else. But it's consistent branding so that when people are signing up, it's me, right? Everything I'm doing is to remove friction so that when you land on my website, you don't have to think, oh, is that the same guy from Clubhouse? I've actually used thoughtful imaging and branding to make it easier for you to make that link and that connection that, oh, that's Justin. I was with him on Breakfast with Champions in that exclusive room on Friday mornings. Now I'm on his newsletter. And then guess what? Your life gets busy. Next week, you get this newsletter from me. The first photo you see is that vest. So you automatically remove friction and say, oh, there's Justin again, right? If it was a different photo and it looked completely different, you may have to second guess yourself, think I'm spamming you, and then unsubscribe. Then the letter from the editor portion for me is where my opportunity is to really connect with my audience. I actually put a lot of effort into the first statement that I make in every single email. I'm auditing my audience and asking, do you prefer open Q&As? Do you want live trainings? Do you want free PDFs? And then I share my faith. I talk about how I get inspired in the community and how it's not about me, how it's every single person that's here, like Myra, Christina Howard. I see Weenie. I see Whisper in a Bottle. Kim Farr, you always say hi to everybody. You're the nicest person. Dora Marie. I really give shout outs and engage my community so they feel like they're the ones building this platform as much as I am. Super important to me. Then I talk about my events. So again, removing friction. Most of you probably don't know I've been running a room called Practical and Tactical since like January when I got on Clubhouse, like 2020 or 2021, whenever it started for me. And I do it every Monday, 11:30 to 12:30, and I pick a specific topic and I do a deep dive. I make it super easy for people to click on the link and add it to their calendar. Super hack on Clubhouse. If you're running rooms, copy the link and tell people, click this, add it to your calendar, because then they click on their calendar. The link's there, removes friction. I get much better retention when I send that. I also share the Prime People podcast that I do every single Thursday, 1 to 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time live. David Hill, a Breakfast with Champions moderator, was on one week, and this allowed people like Ramon Ray and other people to pop in and collaborate and be there. Then it also allows me to copy and paste this to other groups and places that I'm in to share it out and get better retention on my lives. Then I put the replay. Judy Fox, really good friend of mine, absolute wizard at LinkedIn. This was one of my more popular episodes. I put the replay there so people can go back. I give them context to why they want to watch this episode, very specific to what answers it gives, what information it provides, so on and so forth. My personal newsletter could be better though. So if I was going to revise this and tell you two things I'm going to add to this newsletter for next week is one, last week I did a segment on Breakfast with Champions on how I plan my YouTube videos, and I showed you my spreadsheet and my video planner. I'm actually going to give that PDF away for free exclusively to my newsletter. I'm also going to turn off this replay after I'm done my segment, so it's not live on YouTube. My Breakfast with Champions segments are exclusive to the Breakfast with Champions community and my audience. So it'll go unlisted and the replay will be provided in the newsletter. So now I'm giving you a reason, because I talk really fast, that if you want to watch this replay and go through it segment by segment and just build your newsletter with me, you can do it very, very easily. Take everything I just told you about my personal newsletter, how I structure it, the branding, create your own. But the only way that you can do that is if you go to justinconico.com/resources. I will pin that to the top of the room in Clubhouse. So you guys have access to that list and you can sign up if you want the replay. A quick note when it comes to newsletters and audiences, I don't want people that don't want to be on my newsletter. I love unsubscribes. People get their feelings hurt when unsubscribes happen on your newsletter. It's the best thing that can happen to you. Same thing on YouTube. I want you to subscribe if you want to learn to be inspired and see how to build a business and learn tips on sales, marketing, and media, because I want YouTube to go find more people like you. I don't want people that are just going to subscribe and never watch my channel or click on a video and click off, because that actually hurts my algorithm. Next newsletter I'm going to show you is the Prime Insider. So this speaks to my real estate audience. I just talked about Justin Conoco, who my audience is you. The real estate audience are people looking to relocate to Southwestern Ontario, Canada. Ultimately, I actually want this audience to be anybody looking for real estate anywhere on the planet, because I told you I'm one of the Serhant ambassadors globally. So I have an insane network of agents everywhere. I also have one of the largest real estate networks because of apps like Clubhouse and some other networks and speaking engagements that I'm privy to. I have a very, very large personal database of agents. And this isn't, I have a logo that I happen to be a part of this brand and I can just DM them and get a name of some random person I do not know. Prime, my company that I own, is not in the recruiting business and I'm not in the logo business. I'm in the people business. You ask me for somebody in New York, I'll connect you with Ryan Serhant himself. You ask me for somebody in Florida, I'll connect you with Holly Meyer Lucas herself. Like, I know these people from a personal level because I've spent thousands of hours building the network. So I create this newsletter to compartmentalize all of my real estate information in one place and serve that consumer. Now, I haven't filled this one out because I'm building out the June newsletter. The mortgage rates just jumped 0.5 point in Canada. That's very contextual to the information I'm going to provide to my audience this month. June is full, makes no sense. So I'm going to change that tagline, but consistently every month, you'll know exactly what month the newsletter is referencing. You'll notice the Prime Insider hashtag, so it's shareable and searchable online. I tell you, you're going to get off-market properties, news, and insights. I tell you what you're getting the second you actually open up the newsletter. There's no logo for the company. It's just information, letter from the editor. I'm actually going to share this quote this month. Don't buy real estate. No, don't wait to buy real estate. Buy real estate and wait, because the market is volatile. And if you're gambling with real estate, you're going to lose. But if you're in the market for the long run, you're going to win. So contextually, the information I'm going to give to my opinion of the market is going to be here. It's why people come to this newsletter typically, is for my opinion on the marketplace, because I'm in it. I give the stats on the main areas that I cover in Southwestern Ontario. This was me auditing my audience, calling builders and developers, calling consumers. What do you want to know? Average sales price, how many new listings, sales activity, months of inventory, and what's the average days on market. So I'll give some context to this. I'll also link my YouTube monthly market update. So I also realized my newsletter was a really good way of building that audience for Prime's real estate channel. So my Prime YouTube channel generates 300 to 400 leads a year of people looking to relocate to Southwestern Ontario through Google Organic and YouTube. This is really good. This actually helps me a ton. So I'll link that. I'll actually give a little bit of context to it. I also use this newsletter to shout it from the rooftop. So here's some of the off-market deals that people are always taking action on. They get access to development launches, off-market opportunities. We have some multifamily buildings coming, and people want stuff they can't find on MLS. So they constantly come to this newsletter for this. And then I actually talk about some of the things that were being nominated for. Prime was nominated for the Media Business of the Year from the Chamber of Commerce. I was invited to speak at a large industry seminar on new home construction, what's going to happen with the industry. And I was featured in a national magazine called Buzz around content marketing. So we use it to shout our successes from the rooftop, but we don't put it first. We actually serve the audience first, and then we put this in more as proof of expertise so they know that I actually have an idea of what I'm talking about. Here's a bullet point list of some of the off-market inventory we have coming. If you're on the Clubhouse app and you're not on the live stream, I'm actually going to, I don't have the link, so I can't share it. You can go to Justin Conoco's YouTube channel to watch the replay or sign up for the resources. I'll share the replay because this right here, the Midori Sushi part of the newsletter I'm showing, I do this every month. I pick a local business and I give them some shine. I have, I think, just over 8,000 local people on this newsletter. Our open rate's phenomenal. I think we're above, 30 to 50 on some of our open rates. And we give that platform to people that are doing good business in our community. a little secret for you is our production company actually did this video as well. So there's a video that is linked to it that we did for Midori. It was a hero video when they were going through COVID because they're a restaurant and they're struggle city in terms of what they do, how they do it. And it really just shows what our production company is capable. So I'm layering the two companies that I have in the one newsletter and showcasing that, if you hire Prime Real Estate, you're also getting our production company, which is incredibly powerful. So then I'm going to go to the insightful and educational. I educate my audience if they're interested in real estate. Maybe they want to know how to buy, renovate, rent, refinance, and repeat a property and build a portfolio. So I link an article. The last thing I do is I give a neighborhood tour video. So people coming to this newsletter are quite often looking to relocate to Southwestern Ontario, Canada. I do neighborhood tour videos that answers those questions on my YouTube channel. So if you can see the pathway that I'm creating from my personal audience to the real estate audience, you can see how I'm really serving the audience versus talking about how awesome Justin is and look at Prime Real Estate and look at everything I sold. I sold this house over asking. Nobody cares. Every real estate agent on the planet was selling houses over asking for the last 6 years. The market has shifted. Now you got to work for it. Newsletters are a really good way to do that. Thank you, Lolita. I appreciate the encouragement. Love your shine on local business. I'm going to add businesses into my newsletter. I'll highlight this. This is like a person-to-person thing that I do, and it kills because I call them and they genuinely know that I want to support them. I'm not doing it because I want their audience. I'm doing it because I genuinely love their businesses. I eat too much sushi from her restaurant, and it's interesting because it took me probably a couple years for Tina to realize I didn't want anything from her. I was genuinely just supporting her business. Now, when I activate something, she realizes that I am coming from a place of contribution, and it's layered our communities in a really good way. So support people doing good work. And Dora Marie, thank you so much for the comment. You give back to the communities in many different ways. I'm just going to go back to the audience actually for this one. I'm going to show you some stats now. Now that I create the newsletter and I blast it out, after I'm done blasting it out, what I'll typically do is I'll go back to the Prime. Actually, hold on. I'll go to one more newsletter and then I got to wrap up my segment soon. This was the Blue Point Lookout. So I just launched a brand new audience and I launched a new project. I'm actually going to be at this project. You'll see me doing lives there on Instagram today. This is a brand new 126 new home subdivision on the shores of Lake Huron. It's unbelievable. Clubhouse, pool, everything. So I launched this to a very specific list. Check this out. Brand new list. No, that was the investor report. Let me go back here. Let me go to my audiences. Let me go to, Sarnia, Lambton Realtors, 309 agents that are super, super dialed in. I'm going to go to my campaigns. Here we go. This one. So out of the 300 in the last 12 hours, 43% of them opened this one. If I look at my investors, the investor report is something I send out every single week. I get 52% open rate, 475 investors every single week. They open this email, and I'll show you this last campaign because I think it's super important. This is also why I don't share this live on YouTube and I turn it to unlisted only for the newsletter audience. It's very tactical information that I'm sure a lot of people would want. The investors report speaks exactly to investors, talks about the housing market, some context. We actually give some analysis on properties. So we break down the cash flow, passive appreciation, cap rates, ROI. We run numbers and we give them the heavy lifting that saves them a lot of time from actually running numbers themselves. So suffice it to say, I've got about 1 minute left here. I'm going to wrap up this segment on YouTube and go back to Clubhouse. Suffice it to say, I just showed you 3 different audiences. I showed you my personal audience, which is people like yourself looking to grow in business, sales, marketing, media. I showed you people looking to relocate to Southwestern Ontario, and I showed you investors. I gave all 3 of those audiences a very clear pathway to get on my newsletter and my email list. And then every single week, I look at how I'm setting up those newsletters and sending them out. Don't worry about doing 3 out of the gate and feel like, oh my gosh, Justin's doing so much. Start with 1. Start with the personal one. Who are you? What do you do? What's your expertise? Are you hosting events? Are you putting out content on a regular basis? Are you answering your audience's questions? And then formalize that into a very simple newsletter and give people an easy pathway to connect with you. Newsletters are one of the most important things you can be doing because a lot of these platforms want to own you. They want to claim you. You may go viral on them and think, oh my gosh, I don't know what's going to happen if this platform goes away. Almost happened with TikTok last year, and every TikToker was trying to move to YouTube. A lot of YouTubers know that YouTube could switch their platform tomorrow. Start a newsletter today. If you want to connect with me, you can find me at justinconoco.com. You can jump on my actual newsletter. I respond to those emails myself. I appreciate each and every single one of you. This replay will be going out in my newsletter on Monday. But as for now, back to Clubhouse, and I'll see you on the